Welcome to Retroactive, everybody, your place for all things fandom. My name's Andrew. Today we're going to be talking a few different things like Ahsoka. It's kind of a slow week as far as movies, TV, that sort of thing outside of that, but we're going to find some things to talk about, maybe show some things off from our collections. As always, I have Josh joining me on the panel today. What's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on, man? Enjoying this chicken sandwich. A little offended that you said before we started that Digimon was better than Pokemon.
And we're off to the races.
Let that go. Nope, I'm a little offended. You went for the heart. You went for the heartstrings, man. I don't like it.
Shut up. We can get more into that in a minute. And joining us for the first time, we have Brandon. How's it going, man?
Hey, how is everybody?
We're happy to have you on.
Good.
And so, so as Josh was saying, we were just kind of like BSing before the show started, just talking about some stuff from our childhood. I was merely saying that as much as I love Pokemon and everything like that, the show, the games, everything in between, I personally think that Digimon had a better narrative overall throughout that particular
you're
series.
still continuing this.
Yes, I'm going to continue it. He brought it up. So, but Josh is not going to let that lie.
Nope.
So
that's hurtful, man.
Yep.
It's already bad enough we lost Ash, Pikachu, and Team Rocket to whoever this new group of people is. And now you're going to say Digimon's better? Get out of here.
See, my job is pretty much just to piss Josh off on a weekly basis, whether it be that or
the man
Equalizer.
hasn't seen Lord of the Rings. He hasn't seen Equalizer. Next thing you know,
Guess
he hasn't
what?
seen John Wick.
I've seen 2 out of the 3 Lord of the Rings now, Josh.
What?
Oh,
That's right.
Okay, I'm just now coming into this one, man.
Yep, I didn't.
Oh,
I've
boy.
never seen Lord of the Rings
Up until when?
Up until literally last week. I gotta finish out the third movie.
Brandon, right?
Oh man,
That's right.
Are you gonna be on Toy Quest this week?
Yeah, I'll be on Toy Quest tomorrow.
Well, you
so
gotta let P-Rock know then.
Yes. I mean, they're gonna bug me that I haven't gone and finished the trilogy yet, but it's been a little bit of a hectic week schedule wise. So I'm watching the extended versions, of course. So I got to be able to knock out a good 4+ hours or whatever every time I watch one of these things. So it's a feat in and of itself. I will say this. As I've said before in some of the other shows that I've mentioned this, I've never really been the biggest fantasy guy, like old school fantasy, dragons, elves, that sort of thing. Sci-fi, sure. But gotten into it more recently because of things like The Witcher and things like that. First movie, it was good. Like there was some.
Did you like House of the Dragon?
I haven't watched House of the Dragon. I did watch Game of Thrones back in like 2020 when I had nothing to do and there were things I liked about that, but it got a little, in my opinion, convoluted at times. And not just because of everyone's thoughts on the last season. I just mean in general. Yeah. But what was he saying? So first movie, pretty good. Obviously, a lot of like groundwork, a lot of build, things like that. Second movie, way better in my opinion. Obviously, because we're kind of like getting to the action in the Two Towers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I definitely enjoyed Two Towers a lot more than Fellowship of the Ring, personally. And then from what I hear from a lot of people, Return of the King is like the best. So we'll see. We'll see. What's your opinion on this, Brandon? I can see your face. I can see
Fellowship of the Ring to me is. This is going to be an interesting one. Fellowship of the Ring to me is the GOAT.
Really?
Hands down, yeah. Return of the King second, Two Towers last.
Okay.
So, and I'll also go off. I'll say, okay, when it comes to the Hobbit films versus Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit films get way, way more hate than they need to be. Like I straight up, it was a fantastic trilogy. I enjoyed every minute of it.
I think it's just because they took the shortest book and split it into 3 movies.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I feel like maybe you could have done 2.
Yeah,
and that's just me knowing a little bit about it. So
the only thing that irritated me about those movies, I remember the second one. They drawn out the whole Smaug thing, like towards the end. Like they drew it out. They made it seem like this big event, and then it ends with Smaug flying to the town, and then when the third one starts, it picks up right there, but it's done in like 10 minutes.
Yep.
So all that build up for like a 5 to 10 minute action scene, and then they move on. I'm like, what the hell?
Now, just to be clear, I did not start with the Hobbit movies. I'm just watching the original
Okay, so
Lord
you
of the
have
Rings
not
trilogy.
seen
I have not seen the Hobbit
Oh,
movies.
boy, okay. All
Well,
right.
I asked a lot of people, like, do I need to see these first or whatever?
No.
I know, obviously, they came out later.
Yeah.
And they were like,
I mean,
no.
technically, they happen first.
It'll make you
chronologically, yes.
It'll make you appreciate it more, but it's not necessary to go through, chronological, like say Star Wars would be.
Right.
So,
and these are also like every single one I'm watching is the extended version. So
yeah,
like those two, I would assume, are probably at least 3 hours a piece in the extended versions, if not more. And the watching 11, 12 hours of the original trilogy of them is hard enough. So I'm just kind of like going to take that. What I'll probably do is I've been collecting the books because I do actually want to read the Lord of the Rings and some of the other books set within that universe. Is once I get into that, maybe then I'll go back and watch the Hobbit movies and stuff like that once I've read the book and have a deeper appreciation for this kind of thing.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a daunting thing in my opinion, but like I said, I just need to finish it out. The guys have been harping on me for months about the fact that
they should.
Listen, everybody's got their holes or gaps in their movie viewing experience type of thing, or things that maybe they didn't really catch their attention at the time. I took until I think 2 years ago, maybe less, for me to watch all of the Harry Potter movies. I saw up until the fourth movie when it came out in theaters, but that's when I fell off the wagon.
Wow,
they started getting too long, and a lot of people tell me that was not the time to give up.
100% get that though. I mean, it for me, it was like I actually started Harry Potter when A Goblet of Fire came out, or I should say, came out on Netflix when they were mailing the DVDs. Okay?
Oh wow, okay.
So that was my introduction to Harry Potter, is doing that. We had a subscription through the mail, and they'd send you the DVDs. So we watched all four, and then it's just like, dude, I need more. By the time Order of Phoenix came out, that was literally the hump that started that kind of slowness in that series. But fantastic. I mean, they're all fantastic. It's just, some are way slower than others. So I get it.
Yeah, so. Ashlyn is a huge Harry Potter fan, so eventually I was gonna have to see these movies. So we sat down. I think it was over the course of a week, watched the entire series, and I still, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate from this. I don't love everything that they did with this series, but I think personally, I actually prefer the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Okay, dog.
Hear me out.
Man.
Hear me out. The reason like I said, I don't like everything they did with those movies. There were some missteps. There were some missed opportunities. I think the reason I like is because I saw them as an adult, and they are adult characters, as opposed to having to go as a essentially 30-year-old man, go back and rewatch these movies about kids in school and all that. So that obviously by the time we got to Order of the Phoenix, it is much more adult and everything like that. But the first four movies, it's a lot of YA type of stuff, and understandably so. It's a YA book, but that's just one of those things that I guess because these were adult characters, as I was an adult, I was able to kind of latch on a little bit more. Again, a lot of missed opportunity, a lot of missteps. As much as I hated them having to recast Johnny Depp in that role, I do think that Mads Mikkelsen did a really good job in the third movie. Just the third movie in general was not that great, but his role was really good, because he's always good as a villain, or just in a movie general, in my opinion. So you can't go wrong in casting him. I don't blame them for casting him. I just more blame them for what they did to Johnny. But I think we've gotten off topic enough today, as we do. We do have a few things to run down here. Real quick, what I want to do is I do want to talk about this movie that I got to see last week called Bottoms. This movie is a little, to put it lightly, a little chaotic, to say the least. And I'm going to try my best to explain it as short form as I can. It's like a new age, teenage sex com movie, like of the American Pie
you had me at sex
era, right? Yeah, American Pie era, or not. It's not so much Not Another Teen Movie because that's just a spoof movie, but like things in those veins where things are like overly exaggerated and ridiculous situations. And this is like, it's not a spoof movie or anything like that, but the premise is that the two leads, I'm assuming they identify as lesbian. They are trying to hook up with girls at school, but they are bottom of the totem pole. They are the people nobody wants to hang out with. So they start this female like fight club / like self-defense class type of thing to teach girls self-defense to protect themselves from all the men and all these bullies and stuff like that at school. And they think that somehow that's going to help them hook up with these chicks at school. It is such a bizarre premise.
So that's where I went wrong in high school.
Right. We should have done self-defense.
Yeah, there we go.
As they say in the movie, it gets the adrenaline pumping, and it's a comedy. It is so like bizarre, like I said, and off the wall. It's one of those, I don't know if I'm going to watch it like a bunch, but it's one of those like every once in a while type of films that I could like pop on, and I laughed through the entire movie. This movie was absolutely hilarious. Like the dialogue was funny, but the situations were just as funny because it's like everything happening in this movie, everything's dialed up to 11. So the like football players are just like the worst people imaginable, like, but to a ridiculous amount. It's an indie film, like, so I don't know that it's hitting like every theater, but the larger chains like AMC, Regal, things like that, I think that they have it at least in one theater per those major chains. So I do recommend, if you're looking for something like a little off the beaten path, something funny, something very bizarre. It is obviously rated R, unsurprisingly. I won't say this not to spoil the ending, but the ending just completely goes off the rails, but in the best way possible. I highly recommend going to see this movie if you're looking for something fun and different. So we have a few more things to talk about.
You guys
here? Oh, go ahead, Josh.
I added 2 new things to the panel because you asked me about topics, and I was like, my brain went dead. And then as we start, I think of 2 things. But I wanted to bring 2 things to your attention. And
go for it.
Care if I bring them up? So last week, it was not like confirmed, like Marvel didn't announce it, but the trades announced it, that we are apparently getting a She-Hulk season 2. Like they greenlit season 2 of that. And I honestly was super shocked about that, considering the major backlash that this show had. And me personally, everybody knows I'm an MCU fanboy, but this was one of the ones I could just not stand. And granted, the first 2 episodes I think started pretty strong, but then this show just tanked. Really.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know why they would think people would want this. And it's going back to, it's just, I don't know, it's just weird. Instead of focusing on things like Shang-Chi 2, like where is he at? Things that people actually want to see, Spider-Man 4, and actually stuff that ties into Secret Wars, they're just throwing out random stuff like this that nobody really wants to see.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there's a good chance that even if that was the plan, that something like this could easily get scrapped with everything going on, because they're doing major restructures at Disney for everything. Marvel, Star Wars, like they're saying so much stuff is on the chopping block, and I'm a little scared. Not so much about this.
Honestly, I think some of the stuff needs to, like, I know some stuff, done, like Echo. We don't need Echo. No. We don't need Agatha. We don't need Ironheart. We don't need any of that. Let's just because we're in the like we talked before, we're in the multiverse saga, and we've only had, I think, 5 projects out of the last, because since Endgame, there's been over 13 projects, right? Like, like there's like at least 15. 5 of those have dealt with the multiverse. That's why nobody knows how any of this is connected. How is Moon Knight connected to Shang-Chi? How is Shang-Chi connected? Where's our Captain America? We haven't seen him since Falcon Winter Soldier. We haven't seen Shang-Chi. And we, give us more of that instead of just throwing new character on new character on new character. I wish they would just scrap half this stuff and just focus on the stuff that people actually want to see. That way we can have a really good event like we did with Endgame when it comes to Secret Wars. Yeah, that's my rant for that.
I definitely agree with Echo. I still don't know what they're thinking with that and why they chose that character to make a spinoff. It just doesn't. I don't see that one being are having any positive reception. Now, I get that there's nothing that's been even remotely close to being released about it or details on it or anything like that, but I just
they're releasing every episode at once. They're not doing the weekly thing for that.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, they announced that's the first one. They're just putting the whole show out at once. I think it's like Marvel knows, okay, this shit's bad. So they're like, let's just, and they want to have 1 week of bad press online versus 6 weeks of it. So
well, and even if it's not bad, like,
put it out.
Yeah, even if it's not bad, it's not something that I think would hold people's attention.
Exactly.
To go week to week. So, and we've talked about before, they've done this a few times with other shows, not Marvel or Star Wars, but some of their other Disney Plus original series. Like the first season might have done the week to week, but by the time they got to season 2, they released it all at once because it's just not everything needs that format. And honestly. Yeah. And this is more of a selfish thing, but I wish it stopped the week-to-week bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, this is not network television. It's not.
There's not really any pros to it. I mean, aside, I guess
they want people talking about it longer.
Yeah,
that's all.
No, they want people. No, it's not them talking about it. They want people to have a reason to keep Disney Plus.
Well, that too.
That's
the whole thing because like they did the whole Secret Invasion thing, which people hated. That I had so much high hopes for that show because the whole spy thriller thing is my favorite. Like Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU film, and that show tanked. And then so now, okay, Secret Invasion is over. Now Ahsoka started. Now you have to. And then now they're if you notice they reshuffled all the dates, and all these shows they're happening one after another. It's because they're trying to keep people from canceling. Like if I didn't have my kid, I would have already canceled it by now.
From a corporate perspective, it makes sense, but any other fan base perspective, it does not at all.
Yeah, so, it's just not how people consume content nowadays.
Not
That's
at all.
The problem. Like if this was a few years ago, maybe, but everyone's gotten used to the Netflix format and a lot of these other ones. Now, Hulu has done the week-to-week thing long before Disney Plus did, but that's because Hulu is kind of like an extension of cable, in my opinion. Like a lot of their shows are kind of like FX, like USA, like the more like cable network type thing, not like basic cable.
I think The Boys had a lot to do with it because Amazon does the week to week with The Boys, and that show constantly has hype. People are always there's a lot of buzz around that show, so I think they saw that, and then Disney Plus came out afterwards, and then they realized, okay, maybe this is what we need to do to keep hype going.
Yeah,
because if you think about Invincible and The Boys, Amazon does the whole week to week thing, and it does really good, and Apple TV does it too. But I don't know if you all watch anything on Apple TV.
No,
I have not. No. I don't know. Like I said, I guess I'm just spoiled with the way that I've consumed content over the last few years. And it's, especially when you like, and this is more of like a me thing, but when you like rewatch shows and everything like that, so you can just go boom, 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 that you get used to watching things like that. So when you have to go back to the old format, you're just like, I fucking hate this,
Brandon, out of everything in Phase 4 and Phase 5 so far, is there anything that you've liked?
Oh yeah, Moon Knight, hands down. Like I loved Moon Knight.
That's actually playing in the background right now.
Is there good timing?
Movie wise,
I like movies.
Movie wise,
like
Shang-Chi.
Just in general,
Shang-Chi
out of
was
the MCU.
fantastic. Or what?
I liked Moonlight a lot, and I thought it was the only thing. I just felt like which it doesn't knock the show. It's still one of the better shows. I think the ending kind of fell flat.
Yeah, I do, but it sets it up the way it should. If that makes any sense. Because I've known Moon Knight, and I'm not super well versed in it, but I did read some of the comics to know that he has 3 personas, and that's exactly how I wanted it to end, was showing that third persona. And I really am excited. I hope they do more with the Spectre character, and yeah, I hope
he's supposed to be with like the Midnight Suns and all that with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but I want to see a season 2. The Midnight Suns,
they're getting one.
Oh, good. If they do, then I'm my mind's at ease. But it ended the way that I wanted it to end in that sense. I do agree though, and this is kind of a theme with all the Marvel shows. It seems like the endings just aren't great, like across the board. They're just
they feel rushed.
Yeah, and and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's 6 episodes. Like it's hard to rush an entire, like, first off introducing a new character, and then secondly making this whole arc to then wrap it up 2 episodes later or 1 episode later. It's just it's not a working format. I can see if they stretched it out to 12 per maybe, but yeah.
Then they need to done a better job at like throwing in little spices of Kang throughout it. Like the only things that Kang got was in Loki and Quantumania. Like Moon Knight would have been perfect with Rama Tut.
Yeah.
That's a Kang variant. Like they should have had that and like sprinkled it in with like the whole Thanos thing, because now the only King we saw, he's died both times. He remains, and then the other one died by a bunch of ants. You know.
Yeah.
Which I
rough way to go.
I think he's coming back.
Oh yeah.
But I think out of Phase 4 and 5, I'm in the minority. I don't care what anybody says. I loved Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange, that movie was great.
Yeah, I agree.
That one, Loki, obviously Spider-Man.
What's your thoughts on Ant-Man?
Guardians Volume
Ant-Man
3. And
what do you think?
WandaVision. Those are like the 5 things I like the most.
I'm curious. Quantumania opinions.
I know Josh has opinions.
I think Josh is. Oh, there we go. Go ahead.
Okay, he froze.
Yeah.
No. What ruined that movie for me, honestly, it wasn't even the bad writing. It wasn't even the bad editing. It was freaking MODOK. He was not needed in that film. He was atrocious.
So,
the whole, I'm not a dick, I'm going to be an Avenger, like that whole trope. It was a cool theory idea to kind of connect it with the first film, but it definitely wasn't needed. And the thing is, they had the tools to make that movie awesome. Like, it could have, but I do have a feeling, though, if that Kang variant survived, which I think he did, because if you think about it, he got sucked into multiversal battery. I don't think he's dead. I think he's going to still be the main Kang they fight in Secret Wars and whatnot. But I think if that's the case, it's going to get the Age of Ultron treatment, because everybody hated Age of Ultron. I didn't hate it, but now everybody loves it. So there's a chance I feel like it might get that treatment if things down the line kind of add to that a little bit. I would have gave that movie like a 6 out of 10.
I'm on the very big minority of those who actually really like that film. 2 things that I did not like was 1, MODOK. And 2, Cassie. I couldn't stand her. Absolutely not. And Kat felt the same way when she saw it with me too.
I thought a lot of people heard that.
She's so whiny, and it's like, yeah, she's whiny, but like, it also was the fact that they switched her character.
Yeah, what was the point of that?
I don't know. Like, it was like, you know, they brought her back in Endgame, and that was a very emotional scene, or was it Infinity War? One of the 2. I think it was Endgame. But yeah, they brought her. They brought her back in Endgame, and it was just like, dang, she's all grown up. And now it's like, oh dang, she's all grown up, and this is probably a variant of her. You know, it's like, who knows? But it's just it didn't click with me, and I'm still very confused on to why they did that. But
yeah, I need to rewatch it, because I literally only saw it when it was in theaters. I have not watched it since, like hitting Disney Plus or anything like that. I guess that kind of speaks to how I felt about it. I didn't hate the movie when I saw it, but it was like, I also kind of like walked away, and the more I thought about it, I feel like the more I disliked things, and it was like they were starting to pile up more than the things that I liked. And I really wanted to go into this movie I wanted to be clamoring about it, because I really loved the first Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
The second one is kind of like hit and miss, with
it's
certain
mid.
things. It's very meh. But so I was kind of hoping to kind of like return to form, but like go real weird.
Feels meh. Only because we watched it right after watching Infinity War.
That doesn't help. I can tell you that. Like,
yeah, it doesn't.
Do you think if that would have came out before Infinity War, we might have felt a little at the time? We might have enjoyed it a little more.
Probably.
No. I don't
think personally, I think just a little bit, because we had the big group, like high stakes event film of the first of the 2 come out. And then I know that they were like, oh, this is kind of a palate cleanser. You know what I mean? Like, this is set right before and everything like that. And it's like, it's more funny because it's Ant-Man. But it's like, yeah, but we just got destroyed emotionally by Infinity War. And now you want us to watch this? Like, it's... Yeah. I'm not saying it would have made it 100 times better, but I know it would have probably been a little bit better received, I think, had it come out prior.
Yeah. I will say, though, that the main thing that was great about the Quantumania, though, is Kang. Yeah, he died. He went out in a stupid way, but Jonathan Majors brought it. I know there's a lot of controversy going on with him, and he might be getting his name cleared up. I don't know. It keeps getting delayed. But he, regardless how you feel, he killed that role. And I think if he sticks around, he's going to do an amazing job.
100%, man.
Now, what's the other piece of Marvel news that you had for us?
Oh yeah, before we get into the main one, because I know didn't mean to get off topic too much.
You're good.
But we had the second trailer for the Marvels that's now coming out in November. Just thought it'd be kind of cool to hear y'all's thoughts. Are you guys excited? Like,
that was a terrible picture.
It was.
Sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
this is a horrible picture, but for whatever it is a horrible picture. But
look at that side
reason,
profile.
For whatever reason, when I try to save it, these other pictures on Google to my computer, they don't save, or it comes as a weird.
Kamala's not that bad. Like, it's clearly a stitch job, but holy crap, Brie Larson.
Brie Larson is a smile, so that's all fake.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, that was so distracting. Like, that popped up, and I was just like, "Ooh, uncanny valley." No, thank you. But we've talked a little bit about this. So they released a new teaser. Is that what it is?
Yeah, no, it's a new trailer. It was kind of like a recap. It showed how each individual hero got to where they're at now.
Oh,
and it was like a new, because they keep changing the date. Now it's coming out in November, so we're getting and then it wasn't getting IMAX because of Doom, but now Doom got delayed, so now
I'm so mad about that.
Marvel's in IMAX.
Yeah.
So, but are you guys excited for this at all? Like me, I'm going into it. I don't have any expectations because we just had Secret Invasion was let down and Quantumania. Guardians 3 was amazing, but that was like its own little side thing. I'm excited for it. I've heard a bunch of leaks about it, and there are some cool things that are going to be in the movie. But it's just don't have any expectations because I want to be surprised. Like, and if I want to actually, hopefully I enjoy it.
I'm very much on the fence that you are of no expectations. That being said, I'm strongly rooting for it. And the reason I say that is because I really didn't like the way that they did Miss Marvel. It was very Disney Channel-ish. And I didn't feel like that fit MCU. If that makes sense at all to you guys.
No, it makes sense. It was definitely catered to a younger audience.
It's Gen Z.
100%.
Gen Z
yeah.
catered.
And it was just like, ugh. But at the same time, there's a time and place for everything, I guess. And I'm really excited to see what they do with Photon. And I'm excited for it, but I don't expect it to be good. I expect to be let down, if that makes sense.
Well, go in with low expectations. Maybe you'll be surprised.
That's what I'm hoping for, man. I mean,
I talked.
They definitely need a win.
Yeah, I talked about the fact that I liked Miss Marvel. I haven't gone back and rewatched the series, but I understand where you're coming from, and obviously there was some disconnect on my end too. I mean, I'm 31 years old. I'm not going to connect with a Gen Z catered television show, but I understand at the same time that, like, especially if you're going to have a character that's this young in it, it's got to to an extent, it's got to cater to, if we're setting it in the present day, to that generation. Like, they can't it can't be a 16-year-old, but she talks and acts like a millennial. You know what I mean? Like, it's just 100%. Not going to click for that age group. They want to bring in the next generation of moviegoers and Marvel fans and stuff like that, and that's what they're kind of catering to a little bit. Now, whether they get lost in that remains to be seen. Like, if they end up doing a season 2 of Miss Marvel or whatever may happen, they kind of have to move a little bit past that and get a little less kiddie with it, a little less Disney Channel, like you said, type of thing, and just kind of progress that character. And I do think they could do a good job with that. I personally think that Miss Marvel is one of the shining lights of the future of the MCU. Personally, the character, it's herself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I was going to say before you started on that, like, Miss Marvel, the character, I'm a big fan of. I think that they can do excellent things with her. But it's all about execution, and if they fall flat, it's going to leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth about her. And I don't want to see that happen. And I really, really feel that about the upcoming Fantastic Four, because I've heard from a lot of people there's not a good Fantastic Four movie. And the ones that they made were cringy and blah blah blah. I enjoyed them. I was younger though, but I really, really, I love Fantastic Four. And I really don't. I want to see it done justice, and same can be said about Miss Marvel.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four. Marvel. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said when it comes to Miss Marvel, though, I really am rooting. I can never pronounce her name right, but the actress
Kamala.
I'm really rooting for her. I'm really rooting for her, and I actually like her a lot. And like, she's a genuine fan. this is her first job out of high school from what I hear. So what a great way to get out of high school and start that. But she's a genuine fan. She's excited to be there. She's a big comic head. I guess she wrote one of the new Miss Marvel comics. She helped wrote it. She was doing a book signing or whatever. But no, she's like, I don't know. She just seems very genuine and excited to be there, and she knows her stuff. She said all the time how she calls out Kevin Feige on set when she doesn't agree with something on the script because it doesn't fit the comics, but in a playful way. But no, I think she has a bright future, and I'm rooting for her, and I'm wanting her career in this character to succeed. But like you said, I feel like they need to. Yeah, they had the kitty, teeny bopper side of it with the first season, but they need to kind of mature it a little bit for the older audiences because they already did the numbers. The average people watching the MCU now are like 20 and above.
Oh yeah.
So there's really not a lot of kids watching it like that.
That's fair.
Yeah, so this is just one of those things we'll have to, wait and see how it turns out. We talked about before, like we don't want these things to be bad. We don't want to come out of any movie, let alone an MCU film, feeling negative or down on it or anything like that. We're all hoping for the best. It's just we've been let down before. So real quick before we jump to our main topic of the day, there was a new trailer that dropped for this movie by Eli Roth called Thanksgiving. Looks like a real slasher film set in the Thanksgiving holiday. It's somehow based off of a pretend movie that they made a fake trailer for that Eli Roth did for the Grindhouse films. When that was released, there was a fake trailer that they did. So I guess he's coming back to it, turned it into a full-fledged movie. I'm not really a horror or slasher type of guy, so I'm going to pass it over to the other two guys on the panel and see what they think of this particular trailer. Brandon, what do you think?
Well, I told you when we were talking about this before we started, there's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies, so this is going to be an interesting one. I'm a big fan of classic horror. A lot of times whenever I see the newer age stuff, it doesn't hit right, with the exception of Terrifier. Terrifier is fantastic to me, at least.
Did you like the second one?
Less than the first, but not
we loved, me and my fiance loved that franchise, but the second one kind of took us out a little bit.
Yeah, I can understand why. But yeah, I think it's gonna have its role, whether or not it's gonna be. I just based off the trailer, there's not a lot that I can say in terms of where I feel like the direction of the movie is gonna go. It could be more of maybe you guys feel it could be more of a comedy type horror. In other words, one of those horrors that's kind of so bad it's laughable,
right? Like a campy horror type of thing.
Yeah, I actually like those because it's just it's funny. You just there's humor in it. Maybe I'm twisted and sadistic. I don't know, but
no, I got that sense too. Maybe kind of a what was that movie?
Cocaine Bear, bro.
Bro, I was gonna say I was dying throughout that whole movie.
What's the one with and I can't believe I'm blanking on the name with the evil version of Santa. You know what I'm talking about?
Is it Bad Santa?
No.
Rough Night. It has what's his name? David Harper.
Is David Harper
the new one?
I don't know.
He's the one that plays the Santa.
The Santa with the horns, and I'm talking about
Krampus.
Krampus.
Okay.
Yeah. So because that movie was it was bloody, it was gory, but it was kind of that horror comedy, campy type of thing.
Yeah.
So I got those kind of vibes from this as well.
Yeah. Now, if we see a murderous turkey, we already know. It's nailing the coffin.
I'll go see it if that's what happens.
If there's a murderous turkey, it'll be on that level with Rubber, with that killing tire.
Oh my god!
Or
that's
that
classic,
I saw a poster at the movie theater for something called Slaughterhouse, which
bro,
it's a killer sloth.
Wow. Did you watch the trailer that Fandango posted?
No.
Okay, so the trailer is literally a girl walking into her room, and she puts her drink down, and you just see the little sloth claw come out, and he roofies the drink, and then she falls to the floor, and she's out of it, and she's looking up at the bed, and it's thundering. So it would go from light to dark, and every time he'd be getting closer, and it just ends with him raising his little claw, and it has dramatic music, and it ends with a scream, and it goes Slaughterhouse.
Oh my god!
And my mom was so pissed because those are her favorite animals. She's like, I hate this.
God.
But dude, I didn't think it was an actual movie, but it's a real thing.
It's a real movie. You know what's crazy about that? I'm sorry, Brandon.
You're okay. Go ahead.
Before I lose my thought, believe it or not, sloths are kind of vicious. Like, so my wife tells this story. She worked at Dr. Phillips Hospital for a while, and someone came in that worked at a park of sorts. I won't name names, but obviously, and they would hold the sloth and stuff like that. Well, and this has happened 100 times. Well, this day apparently the sloth wasn't having it and bit the girl in the neck.
Ooh,
deep type of thing. And so
how
she had
slow
to come
was that
in.
thing moving though? Like
apparently, if they want to, they can at least like move parts of their body like at a somewhat fast speed. Like it's not always the movement type of thing. So it kind of like it was probably like right here, and it just went like that right to the neck. And so she had, she ended up in the hospital, like chunk missing out of her neck. Like it was, it was bad. So when I saw this poster, that's the first thing I thought of was that story. So Brandon, I apologize. What were you?
No, you're okay. I was gonna say, because we were talking about like horror spoof movies and stuff like that. Have you ever seen a specific Saw spoof? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Spoof of Saw?
Yeah, it's called Slaw, and it's all about it's Saw, but with coleslaw.
I'm so disappointed.
And Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash is in it.
Nash is in it. It is worth a watch for cringe factor.
Yeah.
And Kevin Nash. And that's it.
This is part of the reason why I can't like, first of all, I don't like scary movies to begin with. I don't like slasher films, things like that. But this is part of the reason why I can't really fully invest in like the horror genre and things like there it is. Slaughterhouse is because of shit like this.
Yeah.
Like this is why I can't fully invest myself in this kind of stuff.
Well, if you want a good laugh, I highly recommend anybody go watch this trailer because it's so bad. I don't know where a sloth got roofies at. I know if the roofie a chicken, she immediately claps, but
Yeah.
And Fandango was promoting the hell out of it, so there's something there. What if this is like a gold mine? What if this is like a 10 out of 10 beautiful film? I think we should all go see it opening weekend.
Jesus.
Let me know how that goes.
I think we should do it and have a whole no. I think we should do it and have a whole show on Slaughterhouse.
That would end up being like a Riff Tracks, Mystery Science Theater 3000 type of episode right there. Like that's a movie that's going to end up on Mystery Science Theater someday.
I'll get the steelbook of it.
It's just the claw.
Yeah.
I'll put it up there with rubber and teeth.
Oh, fuck. Don't talk about that movie. God.
Which one?
Teeth?
Rubber or teeth?
He's talking about teeth.
Of course I'm talking about teeth. God.
The fact that somebody wrote that script and it got approved, it blows my mind. And the actors, have you watched the whole thing? Did you watch the whole thing? Oh, I felt like the actors were very awkward throughout the whole thing.
How can you not be in that particular movie? They're just like, the whole time, they're just thinking, I'm not getting paid enough for this.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like, but their head like, I need exposure. It's like, this is the wrong exposure. There is such thing as bad press. Okay. And this is one of them.
Moral of the story, folks. Go watch Slaughterhouse. Coming out in October. I believe it's in October.
I don't even know how to segue out of this bullshit. Okay, so we're gonna finally get to our main topic of the day, and we're gonna be talking
Slaughterhouse.
Fuck you. It is
theater near you.
Traveling slowly to a theater near you. God. All right. Okay, episodes 3 and 4, Ahsoka. Yes. God damn it, Josh. All right, so obviously a lot happened in episode 4, like way too much to go over completely. But real quick, I do want to kind of touch on episode 3 because we haven't talked about that. There was a lot that happened even in that shorter episode. Real quick, the introduction of Jason, which is Hera and Kanan's son, in live action. That was huge. That I've been asking. I was like, please, please, please let that happen. I didn't care if it was a cameo appearance of their kid showing up. That's just one of those things that like heals my heart, makes me feel good as a Rebels fan. But it seems like, and this is kind of diving more into episode 4, but I think there might be more to that character down the line than what we're seeing. I don't think it's just a little nod. So that was really cool, getting to see him show up. Getting to see some of the like inner workings of the New Republic. Hera dealing with the politics of that. Typical Star Wars political type stuff. Mon Mothma making another appearance. That woman works harder than anyone else in Star Wars. She is in everything. So that was pretty cool having that same actress come back. She's been doing that character since I think episode 3 was her first appearance forever ago, and obviously she was like taking the role from the original actress that was in the original trilogy, and she's been doing it pretty much ever since. So like pretty much every time you see her character show up, I don't know if she voices it in the animated versions, but live action, that's always her. So it's really cool to have that consistency, regardless of like what time period it is. They keep having the same actress, and I appreciate that. One of the other things was from that episode, I'm trying to think back, was I just love the dynamic so much with and we were talking before the show of the droid character that's on Ahsoka's ship. Just the dynamic between him and then Sabine and Ahsoka, and of course you always got to have a sassy droid on board somewhere, just like saying the things that no one else is going to say, like Sabine sucks at using the Force and stuff like that. Like, I love Sabine. She's a fantastic character. It's just so funny. It was just like, you are the worst. You would have never made it into the Jedi Temple. And she's like, thank you so much, you fucking asshole. Like,
I'm going to crop that out for a reel saying, just Sabine, you are the worst.
No, thank you so much. Let all the Star Wars sweaties come at me. No, I love Sabine.
Well, apparently I've heard a lot of people who like the Sabine character aren't too crazy about the actress who's playing her. Or I've heard a lot of negative.
I've heard that more about Hera than Sabine. So
I think personally, part of the problem that people are having as far as with Hera in particular is like, this is a much different Hera than what we had in Rebels. But it's because it's so much further down the line.
Yep.
She is hardened by war and loss and struggle, and just like she's been in it since day one. And she was clearly part of the Rebel Alliance, and like very much in the trenches, if you will, with that throughout the entire like original trilogy timeline, fighting the war. So she's hardened, man. She's not the young Hera that we saw in Rebels, like kind of like sassy and cracking the occasional joke type of thing. Like, she had her serious moments and stuff like that, but she was just kind of like real, like I said, real sassy in if you will, in the Rebel series. So that's something that people need to take into consideration, is like, it might not be what they expected because of what came before, but I guarantee you, with Dave Filoni being very hands-on with this particular series, this is the direction he wanted to take that character in. He would not let, especially a character that he like helped create, go in a bad direction. Like, he's choosing how these people are going to portray the characters, in my personal opinion. I don't know if you guys feel differently.
I do. I agree with you on that front. I think casting was good for Sabine too. I just want to throw that out there. I think that they picked a good actress for her. For Hera, though, I don't know. I look at Hera and I don't think it's Hera, if that makes sense. I can with Sabine. Like, it feels right.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say that about Rosario Dawson with Ahsoka too. I see both sides of it. It's definitely a way more mature and more
like dark.
Dark. That's a great way to put it. Like, she's got a darker personality. Like, it's just, and you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said about like she's hardened by war regarding Hera. The same can be definitely said about Ahsoka too. However, I want to point out something at that end of of the 4th episode, when that happens.
It's okay. We can talk spoilers.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
When Jar Jar Binks shows up.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Darth Jar Jar. Yeah.
Josh, look at me. Look at me in my eyes. Fuck you. No, so spoiler warning for anyone that doesn't know. We talk spoilers when it comes to this series and everything like that, because how do you not?
Okay.
So
yeah,
I didn't clarify that when I.
I'm going to put that up. I put the spoiler warning at the bottom.
Okay.
So
perfect.
You're all set. Go for it.
Okay. So
Jar Jar Binks is in the world between worlds.
There you go. The moment you hear "Hey Snips," it was like a different version of Ahsoka embodied her. Like
you saw it on her face.
You saw it on her face, bro. Yeah, it was just like, and you could tell like immediately. It was just like she's back. Like not like in the the old Ahsoka. I feel like is a representation of Anakin, the one that we grew up watching with Clone Wars, and then later with a little bit more in Rebels, but a more mature version of it in Rebels, until the fight in Rebels with Vader versus Ahsoka. I feel like that was a tipping point for her, and it was just her whole demeanor has changed since. And the moment she heard Anakin speak, it was like you got that version of Ahsoka back for a little bit. And I'm really, really excited for this next episode to see if that was just a spur of the moment thing, or if she's going like how that's going to change with her going forward. Is she going to be still that hardened former Jedi, or is she going to be have a little bit of a piece that was lost reformed? So it's
there's a
really
lot of theories going around of like what direction this scene is going to take going into episode 5. Like Josh and I were kind of talking.
He had Vader's lightsaber, and then they played Vader's music. People it's not going to go the way they went. And if she's there, does that mean she technically died?
No,
that's what I'm. I don't know how that.
Not necessarily.
I feel like from what I'm hearing, it seems like Dave Filoni's always trying to kill Ahsoka.
Okay, so since you haven't watched Rebels, Josh, this is what I was talking about. When we get the further we get into the series, the more you're gonna need to know from Rebels, and this in particular. Like I don't know how. I'm sure Dave Filoni, because Dave Filoni actually directed the next episode, so I'm sure he will do his best to lay groundwork for people that
which is going to be in theaters, by the way.
I'm so mad about that because I couldn't get tickets for it because I got to work. I'm super upset about it. It also it makes me wonder how big this episode is really going to be that they felt the need to put it in theaters.
He called it a religious experience.
Oh fuck me! Sorry,
he quoted it as a religious experience. So.
Oh god. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go cry into a pillow here in a minute. But I tell you what, when I'm at work the whole time, I'm starting front desk again at my job, and every person that comes up will be like, "Don't you dare talk about Ahsoka," because I'm gonna be at work till 11 o'clock that night. I'm just like, "Don't you dare! Don't you dare talk about it."
Did you guys get spoiled? Because I got spoiled.
No, I didn't.
You want to know what my spoiler was? Scrolling down my feed, reminding my own business on my lunch break, up pops a meme, and it's that shot of Anakin, and it just says "The Return of the King."
What I couldn't believe was that Star Wars themselves actually released a poster the very next day, with Anakin on it.
I will
with
say
that
though,
version of Anakin.
Yeah,
they proved that Star Wars can actually keep a secret. Because I know it's not Andrew's thing, but I'm really big into leak culture. So I'm all the scoops and the leaks. So I know about a lot of shit that's gonna happen before it happens. So I knew a lot about what was going to happen in this episode, but nobody called Anakin. Everybody knew Anakin was going to be in episode 5, but everybody was wondering how they were going to lead into that.
Oh,
but nobody knew that they kept that tight to the vest that he was in episode 4.
I thought you were going to say nobody knew he was coming. I was like, oh no, everybody knew he was coming.
No,
at some point.
everybody knew he was coming, but everybody knew it was going to be episode 5, and I think there's 1 or 2 episodes afterwards or whatever. But nobody knew he was in episode 4.
How do y'all feel about his CGI?
It's not the worst I've seen. It wasn't fantastic, but I understand what they did. Because everyone complained about the Obi-Wan scene where it was the young, but they didn't do de-age really at all in that. They might have put some makeup on him, but you could tell
you kind of have to. He stuff now.
You could tell he's like a 40 something year old guy pretending to be his 20 something year old self. because they didn't de-age him. As far as I could tell, it didn't look like they de-aged him in that show. It just looked like some makeup.
I kind of
love that
clearly
de-aged.
I kind of prefer that though, because
I'd have been fine with them.
It didn't really. Him. I even like paused it, right when the scene happened. I'm just like looking at it. I'm like,
yeah. I understand. Like the uncanny valley thing really causes issues with me sometimes too. I would have been fine if they didn't like hardly de-age him at all, or just like did some makeup, because like I understand where their mind is at of why they felt they needed to show it as the young version. Like this is the version like clearly in like episode 3, like the last time she saw Anakin, this is what he looked like more or less, and. So I understand their thought process behind that, but I also think you could have gotten away with not really doing that, and everyone would have been just fine with it.
Yes,
because he did grow up. He did get older. Like, yes, he looked very different because he was Vader and everything like that. But because of that, you can kind of have that like disbelief, with these moments, and just kind of like let that go. And I think people probably could have. But I didn't hear a lot of people complaining about it. I think they were just so excited that it happened that maybe down the line you'll hear more people talking about it and things like that. But I think right now everyone's just so hyped they don't give a fuck. So
I just love watching that clip of him at Star Wars Celebration, because like for years didn't he get shitted on a lot like in the beginning of his career, where and everybody hated his character and stuff, and then now like he like started crying. It looked like a celebration, and like you could just see he's so happy, and like I don't know.
Dude, those movies essentially tanked his career because there was so much hate on it, like from fans, critics, otherwise. Like it just was like universally he was hated because of that role, and it's so sad. Like because, and I might have talked about this on the show before, but I know I've talked about it to other people. Like at the end of the day, I don't blame Hayden Christensen for any problems I might have with the way he's acting in episode 2 or 3. 3 is definitely better than 2, but I'm going to go with 2 because that's my least favorite.
Amen.
He is being directed to act and talk a certain way. There are lines that were written, and I don't know if they were specifically written by George Lucas, but there are lines that are in like the novelization. There are lines that were from deleted scenes that are 100 times better than some of the stuff that actually made it into the film. And then the way he's being directed to play this character is not the best. What I've been told by a few different people that are like deep, like people think I'm deep into Star Wars. No, there's some like real deep dive people into this culture, that there's some people that have like really analyzed this stuff. And that one of the things that doesn't really get talked about, but is kind of like if you let's say you sat down with George Lucas and like really had a heart-to-heart about this particular character, if you broke it down, Anakin has like an emotional disorder. It's like he has like Asperger's or something of that. That's like something's not clicking. He has like emotional issues. He has like mental health issues, things like that. So the way that he processes things, the way that he talks sometimes, it's like distorted. It's not quite, not everything is running the way it should. You know what I mean? So when you look at it through that lens, it kind of helps with a few things, especially like in episode 2. Obviously, when you get to episode 3, he's turning dark. But beyond that, so when I was able to kind of like take it from that scope, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now. But the problem is that we didn't establish it in the film itself, and it's not talked about or like addressed in any way, shape, or form. So how are we supposed to get that? How are we supposed to get to that conclusion or see it through that lens? And also, this movie came out 20 years ago. We didn't have the same understanding of certain things with mental health and things like that, or disorders that we do now. And so you can go back, and that's why like all these people nowadays, they're like, oh, I'm just now being diagnosed with autism or ADHD or anything really, because it was not something that was being addressed 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of like a really like sweaty deep dive type of deal, but it's something that's made me really appreciate his performance better, because I always take into consideration that the way he's being directed, and I take into consideration now through that lens of like the mental disorder and things like that.
I just really hope when it comes to episode 5, we get to see Ahsoka versus like,
what are some of the other
world?
What are some of the other things that you guys? Shut up, Josh. What are some of the other things that you guys enjoyed from episode 4 outside of the Anakin stuff? Because we talked a lot about that, obviously.
I'd say episode 3. Did you guys like that scene where she's like in the suit fighting on? I thought it was pretty dope when she's out.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Ship fighting. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's something we've never. I don't think we've ever seen in Star Wars before, as far as I can remember. Pretty cool. And Brandon, what about you? Anything in episode 3 or 4 that really stood out for you?
You kind of touched on it earlier, but Jason Syndulla, I'm really excited. I want to just give me a little glimmer that he's force sensitive, and I'll be.
We did at the end of episode 4. I personally think because he had that moment where he's like, "Mom, I have a bad feeling," and I know that's a line that's used in Star Wars a lot. I have a bad feeling about it, but I think it was a double nod.
It was kind of like it could be. I was taking it more as like a Han Solo. I got a bad feeling about this type of.
I understand that completely, but I think with Dave Filoni, that was kind of like in my opinion, I think it was a double nod. It was a nod to the old line, and it was a nod to that because it was also the look on his face.
True.
Like it was like he really was feeling something, and with his father being who he is, it would not shock me in the slightest that this kid is force sensitive. So I really hope that something comes of that.
I'm surprised. We haven't talked about this, but how did you guys feel about the whole Marok thing, with all the theories of him being Star Killer and everything, and then he was just dust. He was just black smoke. I feel like that's from what I'm hearing. What is cause like I said, I like Star Wars, but that's more like y'all's realm. What is the witches' names again?
The Night Sisters.
Night Sisters.
The Night Sisters. Yeah, they were saying. I'm hearing things that's possibly like the dark magic from the Night Sisters stuff, and that's Marok was mainly going to be a way to show how Thrawn is going to resurrect his army, kind of like to foreshadow it. Like I heard, like that's a theory people have. I'm like that can make sense, but I just thought it was crazy. All the theories of I heard just smoke.
I heard that it was, and this was my favorite theory. I heard a couple of them, but the best one that I heard was it was a clone of Kanan.
I heard that one too.
Man, if they did that, that would have been, oh gosh,
that'd have been so bad though. Like that'd have been so. That would destroy me, man. That would be so fucked up.
That's why it would have been great.
Yeah, I think the reason that they didn't want to do that.
Reva?
Oh,
say what?
Shut up.
Can you imagine if it turned out to be Reva?
Yeah.
I think the reason that it wouldn't be Kanan is because that would take away from the Dark Jedi characters they already have, which they're they've been setting groundwork of like that these are people not to be trifled with. Like that's one of the things that really stood out for me with episode 4 is, dude, this Balin character is so awesome. It's so sad that Ray Stevenson passed away.
Yeah,
but like his character is amazing. The line delivery, everything like that. Now,
very intense.
Now I've told Josh this before, and Brandon, you might know as well. The Ray Stevenson, he actually voiced someone in Clone Wars, right? Gar Saxon, yeah. But to now see this guy in live action with the role that he has, like everything's coming through. Every line, in my opinion, is delivered fantastically.
Yeah.
The way he moves with just like the old school like blocks is very like prequel era. You know what I mean? Like that kind of feel to it. So you can clearly tell he was trained in the Jedi Temple and all that kind of stuff. I love everything about that character.
Did you guys see them turning him into like a good guy role? Like, you know how he's like so hesitant to kill Jedi?
I think what it is
like he's because he keeps saying how do you word it? Like he's the best.
It's a shame to kill or for the greater good.
No,
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, for the greater good. What if he's like, I know this is a long shot, but what if like he's low key trying to get to the other galaxy because he wants to take out Thrawn himself to prevent the war, and that's gonna be like the whole like twist of him.
Anything's possible, but I have a feeling it's more like not quite in the same vein, but it's kind of like if you remember episode 2 with Dooku, he has that moment of like wanting to turn back from what the direction he's going and get help from Obi-Wan and stuff like that. This guy is clearly struggling. And that's the thing, is that I've done some research on these characters because, like, they intrigue me so much. They're not technically Sith. They are considered dark Jedi, because that's why we have the difference in color in their blades. It is not the traditional deep red, because not just because they're not fully tapped into like the Sith dark force wielding, but the red comes from a kyber crystal bleeding. You take it from a Jedi you killed in battle, and then you take their crystal as your own, and it starts to bleed. I don't fully understand the stuff behind it, but that's the information that I've gathered with in my reading and things like that I've had from comics, books, and otherwise, is that's where the blood red comes from. So they're using these dark powers, but they haven't gone full Sith yet, so that's why it's more that like orangish red color as opposed to the traditional red. And like I said, I feel like he struggles. I think he does believe in what he's doing. I think it's kind of this might be a step in the wrong direction, but I think it's kind of like those really good bad guys like a Thanos, where they truly believe in their mission type of thing. I don't think he's going to turn good, personally. I think he truly believes in his mission. I think he's wholeheartedly, or Killmonger. Like, the best villains are the ones that think they're doing it for the right reasons and like have sound, like, what is it, like
that make you second guess yourself, like,
exactly
right.
Now his apprentice, that's a whole other story. I think she's going to end up full Sith by the time we reach the end of this series. I think she's going to do the traditional Sith thing and turn on her master. She's probably going to be the one to kill him. Honestly, that's my personal opinion. That's usually what happens.
I feel that.
Yeah, and that's when she's going to go full Sith, in my opinion. But Brandon, sorry guys, I've got so much to talk with this.
No, bro,
I have been clamoring to talk about this ever since the episode came out. Brandon, any other stuff that you want to talk about that we haven't touched on, or anything you want to add to?
For the last two episodes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was I'll preference what I'm going to say with a question. How do you feel about, if yes or if no, Sabine being force sensitive?
Josh, you go first.
I'm not because I obviously didn't watch Rebels or any of that, so I'm not as attached to the character as you guys are. But I did think it was really cool how when she attempted to do the Force, and then she was like, "You have no power here," and then she quickly dropped into the whole Mando thing. I thought that was pretty cool. But I could see it because like they've kind of been they did a lot of hinting at that with in the Mandalorian, between like Grogu, between mixing a Mandalorian and a Jedi together. So I mean, they kind of been focusing on that, if you notice, in the series. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she was force sensitive. And yeah, like, so I don't have too much opinion on her because like I'm just now getting introduced to the character.
Yeah,
but I mean, it would fit the story. I mean, if she's the apprentice of Ahsoka, it makes sense.
I think it speaks to a larger thing within the Star Wars universe that was touched on in The Last Jedi, but then was kind of left on the cutting room floor, if you will. That anyone, and Ahsoka says it, anyone can access the Force. Now, certain people are going to have more talent than others, or have a stronger connection and everything like that. But I think Dave Filoni is trying to take that back. I think he's like, he wasn't super involved with the sequel trilogy as far as like on set or in the writing. So, but he's part of Lucasfilm. He was around. I'm sure he had many conversations with Rian Johnson and things like that. And I'm sure that they probably fed off each other a little bit. And I'm sure, and it's clearly something that stuck with him in particular. And so I think he's kind of adding to that, and kind of some of the best stuff that they're doing with some of the newer Star Wars shows, whether it being like the Bad Batch or some of the other stuff, is they're laying groundwork for stuff that comes later. Like they're making the sequels better by laying groundwork. And this is one of those things that I think could really add to like The Last Jedi and stuff like that. That, like I said, anyone can access the Force, or anyone could be a Jedi. And that's something that I wish that they would have kept by the time we reached the third movie of the sequels, but that's a whole other story. But I'm fine with, I know there's some people that are like, I don't want her to be force sensitive. I'm fine either way. I think she will be by the time. I don't think she's going to be super strong in it. I could be wrong. I don't think she's going to be super strong in it, but I do think that we need to bridge this gap. I think this is a really good opportunity to move that message forward within Star Wars. It'll help progress stories down the line within Star Wars and not have us keep going back to the same well over and over and over again. For the love of God, if we end up back at Tatooine, I swear to God. Like,
this is a good question for mainly you guys, all like the really hardcore fans out there. Do you think knowing that we had the sequels, does it take away the stakes of like the Filoniverse? Because you already know like the obvious past whatever's about to happen because we have the whole sequel trilogy.
I think in a sense, I have a very strong dislike of the sequels. Like straight up, I really do not like those movies for so many reasons. Some are better than others, but overall, I'm on the board where I'm like, I wish that they could erase that and start over and do it any other way. Like I don't like a lot about it. So I try to just forget that they exist and just focus on what Filoni does. So it doesn't really affect me too much in that regard.
You sound like Brandon Bradley right now.
Really? Good. Oh, good. It's a Brandon thing, I guess.
He's been saying, it's a Brandon thing. He's been saying for years that he's like, oh, Dave Filoni's going to come in and just completely X-nay everything that's come with.
There was a big rumor that they were going to retcon all that.
It's not. It's not.
I doubt it'll happen.
Let me just nip that in the bud right now. They would not be adding all this stuff with it. Like I said, the Bad Batch and all this stuff, laying groundwork for stuff that follows through within the sequel trilogy if that was going to happen. Because you're right. If he was going to do it, this is the series that would do it because of the world between worlds. But it's clearly not happening with everything else that's going on within the Star Wars universe as far as the shows and everything like that. Like they're more like adding to it to make it seem better, in my personal opinion. Like they're trying to lay groundwork that kind of like explains things that weren't explained. It's not going to fix everything, obviously, but I think later on, and this is more of like a down the line type of thing, people are going to see the sequel trilogy like we see the prequels now. The kids that grew up on the sequel trilogy are going to come back a decade from now or whatever and be like, these are the Star Wars movies I grew up on, and I have a love for these. Because there's a huge following for the prequels now that there was not 10, 15 years ago. Was not fucking there.
Ray has a huge fan base already, so
yeah, absolutely. But I'm sorry, Brandon. Anything else you were saying with that?
Not so much. I mean, just the fact that, with regard to Josh's question about, does it feel like it kind of ruins, I guess, in a sense, the cliffhangers and the story, in a sense, knowing how it's all going to end. It doesn't affect me too much because I'm so focused on the present. With regard to, for instance, I mean, just Rebels in general. Like, I'm interested to see how the rest of the cast is coming. That's my focus.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Zeb yet. Will they show any form of Kanan whatsoever, even in just like a Force Ghost whisper or something? Like, there's nothing, and there's nothing that is kind of distracting me from that. I'm in this for Rebels. Like, that's It doesn't. It's funny because it's called Ahsoka, yet it's not Ahsoka. This is Rebels 2.0. Like, So, and I'm okay with that. I'm all here for that. Rebels was my jam, and in some ways, not a lot of ways, but some ways, I liked aspects of it a lot better than Clone Wars. It was more mature. It just,
and it's an easier through line too.
It is. And there were slow parts of Rebels, but you know what I mean. There's slow parts of Clone Wars.
There's always filler.
But me, man, I mean, that's my enjoyment watching this. Anakin was a big plus, but for me, it's about the Rebels. I hope we see Zeb. They better not have just thrown him into freaking Mando and just ripped him out like that. That was huge for me. Is like, dude, and they got Steve Bloom. Like, is like But,
I'm with you. I'm with y'all on the. So as far as what Josh was saying about does it like ruin the stakes? I don't think it does. because there's always some sort of turmoil going on within the universe.
100%.
And that's one of the things that obviously he's not going to stay in this distant galaxy forever. But that's one of the things that kind of helps is they do have to go all the way to this completely different galaxy.
Yeah.
just to like, face off with them. Obviously, as Josh, we've talked before, we're eventually leading to this Dave Filoni movie, end game, if you will. And I do think that Thrawn is that through line. But he is the big bad. He is Thanos. He's not ending with the Ahsoka series. Not to mention, I think we're going to need a second season of Ahsoka, like without question, in my opinion, because I have a feeling we're probably going to get our first glimpse of Thrawn at the end of episode 5. Is when we're finally going to see him. It's going to be like that's going to be the stinger, whereas like Anakin was on this one, because we haven't gotten there yet, and we're already halfway through the season, so there's no way, in my opinion, that they could wrap it all up in the next 4 episodes. And the difference is they're
going to replace the Mandalorian.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if it doesn't, like Dave Filoni's going to take his time. This is his baby. This is his thing.
Have you considered the fact that like, they're going to a completely different galaxy, right? This is just kind of what runs through my head. This isn't an ongoing rumor. It isn't anything like that, but it made me think about it last night. Like, first off, Ezra and Thrawn, right? At the end of Rebels, they're launched into hyperspace. God knows where they are, but we're expected to believe that they're still alive. Why hasn't one or the other killed each other? Okay. So now I'm gonna lead this into somewhere. What if in this other galaxy there is no force, and they're just they got to make bygones be bygones? What if they're homies? You never know. Like
I heard that too. What if Ezra ends up being a bad guy?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? There's a lot of what if Thrawn's good. Ooh, what if Thrawn's a Jedi and he can use the Force? Because everyone can use the Force now. So,
that's the thing. I've talked with Josh before about like Thrawn is, as you know, it's one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite villain in Star Wars. And some people will be like, he's not a villain. It's like, for argument's sake, for our favorite characters, he is the villain. But he doesn't need powers, and he doesn't need any of that stuff to be a dominating force within Star Wars. And so him showing up alone that's why he can be the big bad, in my opinion. Some people are like, oh, I think there might be this like other presence out there, because like in the original books, like the Heir to the Empire, there was Thrawn, but there was also like this other character that was some sort of like, I don't know, dark force wielding character, but it was also kind of like a Night Sister situation, but it was a guy. I don't fully know because I haven't read those books, but I know it wasn't only Thrawn that was a factor in this. I don't think we need anything else. Now, are these other characters going to play a role? Absolutely. We have the Dark Force users. We have the Night Sisters. So we don't need anything else besides that, other than Thrawn showing up.
You need Palpatine. Somehow he's going to return.
Somehow. The amount of people that have probably made him put that on things. I know you couldn't get any quotes or anything.
Yeah, dude, I was mad about that. But anyway, I was mad more so for the fact that other people were mad at me because I couldn't get their stuff done with quotes. But yeah, anyway.
For those of you that don't know, Josh runs a business where he basically goes to all these cons, gets stuff signed for people.
Brandon.
What
Josh.
did I say, Josh? Oh,
Josh.
Shit. Well, Josh, no, Josh has one too. No, I'm just kidding. Brandon does this. Venture Authentics, as you can see by his tag. Check that out if you're interested in any sort of signatures, authentication, that sort of thing. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Sure. We're starting to wrap things up. We're reaching a little over an hour. It's going to be a longer show today because this has just been such a freaking amazing episode of Ahsoka, I feel like.
Slaughterhouse.
Stat and Slaughterhouse, because you just couldn't let it go, could you, Josh?
That was Brandon.
I'm gonna delete this shit off the page.
I got one better.
You know what? I take it back. Put the Slaughterhouse one back up. This one's worse.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, oh my god.
Bring back Slaughterhouse.
Just gonna leave this.
Now,
Anyways,
Josh,
I like Ahsoka.
Josh, as someone we've talked about, like you're not exactly like the biggest Star Wars guy. I know you've talked a little bit about like, you like this, you like that. Do you have any expectations of what's to come? Do you have anything that you hope to see, or just like, how do you feel so far with the series going forward?
No, like me, I'm more of a I like Star Wars. I love the Mandalorian series. I'm really enjoying Ahsoka. I've obviously seen all the Star Wars films. It was never something that kind of like hooked me like let's say the Marvel films have. But I kind of like that. Like I'm not as versed as you guys because I'm kind of just enjoying it for the ride. Like I'm learning things as I go. It's an experience. It's kind of nice watching something and not having expectations. Like with every Marvel film, I have all these expectations and I critique the hell out of it just because I love the MCU so much. But with Star Wars, I get to just enjoy it for the ride and enjoy it for what it is and just get my own biased opinion on it. And so far from Ahsoka, like I'm really enjoying it. Book of Boba. The best 2 episodes were the Mandalorian episodes, which made no sense to me. But
season 2.5,
Mandalorian was great. Season 1 and 2 were great. Season 3 kind of fell off, but Ahsoka I think is off to a strong start. And I know people were kind of complaining about the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, but I think when Ahsoka is done, when you get the full package, I think it's going to be like chef's kiss. I think people are going to love it. And I have already seen people like Josh from the Den of Nerds talk about how Dave Filoni has already saved Star Wars. I'm like, I don't think you can go off this one episode, but I think he's on the right track because it's been a while since I've seen a lot of Star Wars fans actually be on the same page for once. Like there's more people that love this episode than there are that don't. So it's nice seeing Star Wars fans kind of get their, finally they deserve a win. So
for sure.
I'm here happy to see
it. Now I'm a very, like I said it before, I'm a very like easygoing Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars, but I am not overly critical like some people are. In fact, most people are in the fandom. I mean, but you're not like we differ on opinion with some things, but it's not like you're like, this stuff is the worst thing that's ever existed, kill them all, and like that sort of like those crazy people.
Execute
like
Order
that.
66.
Exactly. Execute Order 66 on the entire sequel trilogy. It's one of those things that like, and I've said it before, like if it's Star Wars, I'm probably gonna enjoy it. I'm not gonna love everything that comes out. I didn't love Andor. But I can more like appreciate what it is.
I never finished Andor. I fell asleep for the first episode. I know a lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it, but I fell asleep.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's like it's a political thriller, but it's a slow burn, but it's set within the Star Wars universe. It's not something that spoke to me, but I did watch it. I did. Like I said, I can appreciate more of what it is.
Personally, I loved Rogue One. I know that's probably one of my favorite Star Wars films, and it was the same team that did Rogue One did Andor.
Andrew, I feel like you're okay as long as you have a lightsaber, right?
No, I don't need there. I don't need there to be lightsabers in order to like Star Wars, because like with I mean, there's an argument to be made that there is some lightsaber use in Mandalorian, but very little. To be, if you take out the episode of the Jedi out of it, and then when Luke shows up at the very end, okay, fine, but that's like you're splitting hairs here. Like that's part of Mandalorian culture. That's not just like a Jedi lightsaber thing.
Sure.
I get what you're saying. I do. But I've read a lot of books, I've read a lot of the comics, and a lot of those don't stay specifically to like the Jedi characters and things like that. That's why I really enjoy Solo. A lot of people shit on that movie. I think Solo is a really solid movie, and the only lightsaber you see is at the very end when Darth Maul shows up in a hologram.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very underrated Star Wars movie in my opinion. I think the casting was pretty damn perfect, especially for young Lando. And I will take that to my grave, that opinion. So I don't know. It's just one of those things that like I said, if it's Star Wars, I'm probably going to like it. I fucking watched the Young Jedi Adventures on Disney Plus just to see it. And you know what? For a kid's show, it's not bad. Anyone with kids or anyone who's just maybe bored and wants to watch something like that.
But you didn't like Miss Marvel, though.
No, I didn't say I didn't like Miss Marvel.
No, I did. I said I didn't like Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah, I got the mix. Yeah.
I'm the Debbie Downer. That's what it seems
That's right.
like.
That's right.
Andrew's like, this is good. I'm like, it's terrible.
all the Brandons are very negative.
I'm just glad we all agree that She-Hulk was atrocious and should not have been a thing and should not have a season 2.
I also agree with that.
I will agree with you that it shouldn't take a season 2. It went in a terrible direction.
Yes.
I think it was a really good idea that was executed poorly. That's what I'll say.
They messed my boy Daredevil up. That's what they did. I like the yellow suit, and that's all I liked about him in that show.
Since we're going to basically do like an hour and a half episode here, we're going to do real quick. We're going to end the Ahsoka conversation. There's still lots that we could talk about as Star Wars fans. Real quick, I do want to take a few minutes to do a quick show or tell with you guys. So, Brandon, I know you've got a few things, especially from this week.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and kick things off for us, go right ahead.
Alrighty. So, Andrew kind of said it a little bit ago. What I do as a side business is signatures. Everything having to do with signatures. So, and Funkos. There's a combination of the both there. So first off, I own Venture Authentics, me and my fiance, and we travel around to different conventions, and we'll do one of two things. We'll take extra stuff with us, get it signed by your favorite actors, actresses, voice actors, artists, anybody who's notable there, that has primarily Funko Pops or other collectibles. Or we will take your stuff for a small fee and get it done, get it authenticated, and ship it back to you. So doing so has allowed us to meet quite a few people that we've come to love in various seasons or series, movies, video games, the whole 9 yards. And we've caught up with Andrew and Ashlyn, and I think I've run into McCoy at a couple before, like MegaCon. So it's all stuff that we all do, but we do it for the love of the signature, the love of the autograph, and the fandoms primarily. So with that being said, this past weekend we had the opportunity to have, thanks to our friends at Moza Collectibles, have a private signing with Warwick Davis, who, if you don't know, is in pretty much every big fandom that there is. He is a professor. You're gonna have to help me with this one. Flint something. He's the short professor in Harry Potter. He's also the Goblin Teller in Harry Potter. He's Wicket. He's Willow. Mm-hmm. He is plenty of other characters.
Is he Leprechaun?
He's the Leprechaun. Yeah, that's the big one.
Yep.
Yeah. So we had a lot of items signed by him. He was fantastic for us. Took his time on each one of them, but I brought one of them. This is my own personal piece. This is my blue box Star Wars signed by Warwick Davis. So that's one. And at the same event, they also had the main man himself, which I was like, do I get one by him? Do I not get one by him? Do I get a photo? I ended up saying, do it, and got both of them. So I got
somehow he returned.
Somehow he returned. So Emperor Palpatine signed by Ian McDiarmid. And we ended up getting a photo with him as well. That was spur of the moment. We decided to go for it, and not disappointed. It was a very good photo. So that's a little bit about what we do. Those are the two things I got. And yeah, what else y'all got?
Oh, yeah, man, that's
awesome. Thank you. Josh, what do you got for us this week?
I mean, I got nothing new, but since we're talking about signatures, I just thought I would show my only signature I got. I'm pretty proud of it. Sign none other.
You got the sloth
by none other
right?
than
it's the Slaughterhouse.
Yes, signed by none other than America's ass himself, Chris Evans. Amen. From this Mondo.
That's
print.
very nice. So, very nice. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you showing something right now?
Oh, I quit. No. Yeah. And, recently, I've been getting into the. I get made fun of because I still like to collect physical media. And they were like, why? We stream it. But I'm like, yeah, when your Wi-Fi goes out, what are you going to do? So I've been getting into the steelbooks. So I picked up some pretty dope steelbooks from No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, and, of course, Guardians 3 because
nice.
This one was beautiful. Nice. But, yeah, as far as I got some statues coming in, but that's taking forever. Those things, once you order them and then you don't see them for like 2 years. So it's kind of annoying. But they'll be here eventually.
Understood. Well, like Brandon, I'm also a big Funko guy, as you can tell by a lot of the stuff in my background. I collect a lot of autographs, things like that. I've made videos on that sort of thing. But I did have a couple of new pieces come in for the Funkos this week that I wanted to show off. This is from the new... Oh, I'm trying to figure out how to get this in the camera.
There you go.
This is the Hyperspace Heroes collection from Amazon. Amazon exclusive Star Wars Funko collection. This is the new Obi-Wan. And then we also have from The Mandalorian, we have his new N1. I always forget. It's like N1 fighter or something like that from the prequel era. Mm-hmm. That's retrofitted. This piece is like, it's really hard to tell, but the details on it are actually pretty substantial. I'm very shocked. And of course, you got that little Grogu in the back pilot's seat. So definitely, I wanted to show those off. One other thing, since I'm wearing my Chopper shirt, I gotta show my Chopper. What's up, guys? There you go. This is from the Galaxy's Edge, the remote control one. Chopper is my absolute favorite droid in all of Star Wars, so gotta rep him as much as possible. So if you guys have any questions for us, if you saw anything that you want more info on, especially like with Brandon, with what he does, be sure to reach out to him. It's been a long show, but a fun show. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Real quick before we wrap things up, Josh, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me. Where'd it go? Oh, you took it off. Look at you. You took it off. You can find me at Toy Culture. We're on YouTube. We're on YouTube and Instagram. I'm not doing statue reviews, movie reviews, all kind of collectible fun stuff, just like these two beautiful gentlemen here. Yeah, you can find, and then every Friday night you can catch me on Toy Quest 101 with the great guys over there. Talk about all the same stuff, just collectibles, movies, all anything nerdy.
Very nice. And Brandon, how about you?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Venture Authentics. I think on Facebook it's Authentics and Collectibles. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Love it. Now I can't think. So Venture Authentics on both the platforms. Website is pending. We hit a lot of events in Florida, and 2024 after our wedding, we're looking to go bigger and beyond. So check us out, and if you have anything you're looking for, if you have anyone you're looking to get on an autograph within reason, I can't get you Tom Cruise, I'm sorry, but within reason, do let us know. Check out the events that we're going to, and we'll do everything we can.
So you can't get the actors from Teeth?
I'll get you one of the teeth. How about that?
One of the teeth.
Oh, even better. Make sure she signs it though.
Oh yeah, there you go.
All right, guys, and of course you can find me pretty much all social media at Andrew is Losing. Also, be sure to check out Retroactive's pages on TikTok, Instagram. Subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Like the video, all that good stuff. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been a blast. We'll be back next week, hopefully, to talk about Ahsoka again. Until then, we'll see you next time.